Hey, good morning guys, LCG here. Today I'm going to be playing some Ark Survival Evolved, and I'm going to run through with you what I need in my base to be considered a bare minimum functional location. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start out and talk to you a little bit about picking a location. So, right here, I'm using that dinosaur. So here, I've picked an open area. Alright, this is one of the ruins that comes in the center by default. It just happens to be set up nicely on a little hill here. We got some water over there, water down there. The biggest allure to me here is actually, you can see it off there in the distance, is the metal nodes. Okay, later on in the game, metal becomes very hard to find. You don't want to be making runs all day long to some faraway land. Granted, on this map, metal is a lot easier to find than on the island, but it's still one of those things that you want to make sure you have readily accessible. So there are only 4 nodes over there. If we fly up on this side a bit, we have a whole bunch more. Alright, plenty of crystal up here. If I were smart, I'd set up a refining forge up here for just permanent farming. Right, there's plenty of stone. There's stone down below. You can see there's plenty of trees, all that. That's so that when it comes down to harvesting resources, we're never traveling too far. Right? You want it to be readily accessible. Okay? Now when I set up this base, one of the first things I did was I threw this big behemoth gateway in. Realistically, I should have put one out there and walled things off. I didn't, just because I wanted to keep the beavers spawning in this little lake here, and so I could get the cementing paste. But realistically, there's not enough out there worth protecting. So this protects me just fine. Keeps my dinosaurs from getting killed off while I'm offline. Right? Next thing I do, set up a handful of campfires. This is to cook up meat and keep you warm when you don't really have a whole lot of points to put into fortitude. Or depending on where you are, you might actually need to keep those burning fairly frequently until you get into the electronics and set up your air conditioners. Okay. Another thing that this does is when you start going out and collecting meat, you cook up all the meat, cook up all the prime meat, and then shoot your happy self on over to one of these bad boys, the preserving bins. Okay. You make prime meat jerky. Keep those running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for later on. The end game stuff can be a little brutal. I could actually take the spark powder out of these right now if I wanted to, but I'm just going to go ahead and let that burn away. I'm not in dire need. Okay, so there we go. Finally the rain stopped. So you got the campfires set up, you got your preserving bins, and your storage. Okay. You can see I have a ton of storage cabinets here. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. Alright. Break them apart so you have different resources in different cabinets, right? So I have wood in the first one, fiber, thatch here. Move on to some stone. And you want to start stockpiling it fairly early on. Charcoal, that's another one that I stockpile just because making trank darts can get pretty expensive, and I hate burning up wood on the spot. Hide, you can see I've got an additional stacking mod going too. Right now, I'm the only one playing besides a couple other close friends, so it makes the game a little bit easier to manage. But setting these up like this makes it real easy when you need to come in and pick up resources to build a saddle, or maybe if you're building, or fighting forge, whatever you're going to need the resources for. Alright, moving on to the smithy. I typically have 2 of these readily available. One off to the side near my refining forge, and one off by the storage chests. But realistically right now this will do. I normally have more than one for the crafting of the trank darts. Alright, refining forges. This is another one you want multiples of. Okay, right now I only have 3. Typically I'll have 6, maybe 8 of them set up, right? Because when you're cooking out metal, sometimes you need them a little bit faster than waiting a day and a half for a metric ton of them to finish burning through. And you just saw there, This is for making gasoline for your generators and your fabricator, or whatever else might be using it. And a third one, fourth one, fifth one, back to the metal. Right? I set up a table with my mortar and pestle on top. I just separate these. You can see right there. This one's for cranking out narcotics. We'll get those crafting away right now. Right? Another one just for making spark powder. You just swing by. Always keep stone in there. Drop your flint in and get cracking away with the spark powder. And then another one for gunpowder. Right? You can see I got 134 of them sitting there with some more charcoal. Or to swing through and drop off some spark powder. Like so. And make some more, just like that. Right? Keeping it all easily organized and right next to each other makes it real easy when you're bringing resources back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Another thing I'm going to take notice of is in here, I keep a stockpile of my cementing paste, some keratin, chitin. All the bare necessities go straight into the smithy. That way, if I ever say, "Oh, I need to make a castroid turtle saddle," it's right there. I don't need to hunt around for resources too much. Okay. The fabricator. Once again, the fabricator comes a little bit later on. You start working with electronics. Not really a high priority early on, but you will need one at some point when you start working with your long neck rifles and all that. Alright, all the basics are out of the way. So that would be what I consider the first step. Even the fabricator considered the first phase of building up my base. Okay. Phase 2 includes the generator with the refrigerators and the air conditioners. And I'll take you for a quick little tour outside. You probably already saw it. Okay, we got the greenhouse out here. And I went quite a bit overboard with the water reservoirs here. You can see I got 9 of them set up. They're all metal. Way overboard, but can't hurt to have it. Okay. Those are just vines growing down from the tree. In case you were looking at those, like what is this guy got going on? So the greenhouse I set up medium crop plots, 3 wide, 4 deep. All right. And I always have dung beetles inside. Alright, keep them stocked full of feces, typically just the Phiomia feces. You got one stuck in his butt right there. A listro that keeps the levels of the dung beetles creeping up on there, so I can crank weight, just keep putting more and more feces on there. I always do 2 narcoberry plants. Actually, I do 2 of all the plants. So 2 narcoberry. You got your carrots, your potatoes, your lemons, and your corn growing at all times. And then 2 for the mejo berries. The mejo berries I grow constantly just for kibble. Actually, I grow all the stuff for the kibble, obviously. Except for the narcoberries, those are strictly for narcotics. And I feel like having a wild night. Put myself to sleep sometime. Alright, so you got your fertilizer churning out, plenty of oil. Gotta bring some more dung to him here soon. And you'll see, so I do 2 high on the greenhouse. I brought the water piping, this is just for aesthetics. There's no real purpose to this. I'm pretty sure the whole greenhouse could have been fed by the intersection right there if I just put a tap at the end of that one. But I just like the way it looked. It looked a little bit more fancy, and you can refill your water right there. Alright. Yep. Thank you very much. I'll take that and that. For the Phiomia, in case you didn't know, you can force feed them stem berries. You'll see they'll start pumping out some more feces. Okay. Pick all that stuff up. Bring it back down in here to the old dung beetle. And there we go. Stocked up. Get me out of here. Let me out. Alright, and then we're feeding trough back here. I'm going to drop some more meat in there. It'll keep the spoiled meat rolling, that's for sure. Alright, and that's another thing. I'll come back in here and show you. The feeding trough, I always keep my dinosaurs fairly close to them. But always keep it heavily stocked too. Alright? I never run out of spoiled meat for narcotics because of that. Alright. Come back over here. Shoot those in there, there. Drugs. There we go. Crank out some more. Alright. Basic dinosaurs for taming. You got your ankylo for collecting metal. They do a great job. I can collect, I think, 600 or 700 metal, which comes out to 300, 350 metal ingots. It's also done Megaloceros for collecting up thatch, direwolf, strictly for meat, and chitin or keratin. I prefer to use a saber tooth for those, but he'll do for now. The Dodicarus stone, right? I'm taking them right outside that gateway. There's plenty to collect, and then the beaver gives me plenty of berries. See if there I got more stem berries on hand. That's for collecting berries in a rush or wood, sometimes thatch. They got that pretty well covered. They're super overpowered right now in my opinion, but who am I to judge? Okay, so you see you got your basics set up down there. I'm going to go ahead and show you my taming pen up top here, but while we're flying, I want to make note that I don't normally do a fully outdoor base like this. I prefer the indoor bases with either metal or stone, but I don't know, this is something new to me. I figured I'd give it a go, my first time playing on the island. Can't hurt. So here's a taming pen. Okay, it's a 3x3 stone foundation, stone all the way across, reinforced door. These right here are just, they're doorways, right? 3 high, so no dinosaurs can escape. I've tamed a T-Rex in here, and it didn't get out, so that's a good sign. But things like a dire wolf, I did tame that dire wolf in here, and he can get out, but he didn't. Just luck of the draw, I guess. So if you're ever looking to tame a large dinosaur like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, all you do is you bring them up, right? You're going to line them up before you get there, and bring them straight in. You're going to have a trap set up right in the center, and you can run clear through. Once you hear the trap set, run clear back around, close the door behind them, and this provides you with plenty of room and angles to go ahead and shoot them with. Alright, and if you're ever carrying a dinosaur in and you're flying it in your Argentavis, I put 2 torches down. That way I can see it from up above. Makes the whole thing a whole lot easier. Alright, so there's the bare minimums. Now, one perk that I didn't really talk about when I said your location is super important. Okay, you might have seen it, or you might be familiar with this location, and we'll pull it up on the map right there. You can see I'm about what is that? 65 longitude, 55 latitude. Okay, we have a nice little cave entrance right here. Alright. This makes for a good collection of the cave drop crates. Now, I would not normally be coming through here without a flying dinosaur, strictly because, well, I'm a big sissy, not gonna lie. I don't like dealing with all these crawly critters that tend to be in large packs. Normally there's at least 1 or 2 cave drops as I fly through here. You see there's tons of crystal down here too. Arthropleura, there's some dung beetles, if that's your thing for taming. The PvP side down here, a lot of people like those, the Arthropleura, because they just smash people's armor apart. I don't think this classifies as a deep sea loot crate, but I think one of those spawns here as well. Doesn't look like it's around right now. That's fine. we'll go ahead and keep touring. See some more metal down here, in case you do decide to take a zip around. I'm going to take a look around. I'll be back with you if I can find a loot crate, alright? Alright guys, I'm back, and I've got bad news. I couldn't find any loot drops in there near the cave case things. It is what it is. Currently I just grabbed one too recently, but to give you an idea of what type of thing you might find in there. This ramshackle long neck rifle was one that I found my last trip through. Okay, it's got 102 durability and 152 weapon damage versus the primitive one, which is 70 durability and 100 weapon damage. It's a bit of an upgrade, and you know, they make those one-off runs quite worth it. But that being said, so this is just an introduction to what you should be looking at for your base design if you've never really set one up in Ark before. The Pteranodon, the Argentavis, they're staples for pretty much everybody starting out. They're easy tames. They're things that you're going to want and need as the game goes on. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode, guys. If you liked the video, feel free to smash that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more of the content, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Show support. And hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.